All right, guys, Papa Pepper back again, and by now you're probably thinking, what in the world is this guy up to now? Obviously, I don't really get with the program. A lot of times, as far as just the way the world does things, the way America does things, the whole rat race, be a debt slave, try to make it out alive type mentality. I've got my reasons. Maybe you've got yours, why you do, why you don't, whatever it may be. But one thing I was thinking about recently is, wouldn't it be cool for kids that go to school if the schools actually taught them to figure out things like interest? When you're going to have a credit card loan, a car loan, a mortgage, whatever it's going to be, student loan, to figure out interest and realize what it would actually cost you by just subtracting that amount of time that it would take you to earn that much money off your total life expectancy. I think it'd put things in a whole different perspective where people could actually grasp things because, money's not really real. Other things aren't really real. It just kind of, I don't know. It's a messed up system and people don't really think about things. They're not really dealing with much that's concrete. Numbers on a page, numbers in a bank account. That's a credit card in my wallet. There's no supply of cash that's slowly dwindling, that type of things. A while ago, there was a man who bought a truck. He already had a truck, but he paid it off, so he bought another truck because he wanted one that was going to be a 4x4. And his payments on that were $400 a month. And after a while, he hadn't really taken it out mudding or anything he'd do for four-wheel driving, and decided, maybe I'll talk my son into having this. And his son was, young man, lived at home, I think with his girlfriend there, and they have a kid together, but it wasn't working. And he said, maybe I'll talk my son into thinking this could be his truck, and then he can get a job and he can take over the truck. And it can be his, and he can take over the payments. And I thought about that for a minute, and I said, in the economy and the place with the skills that kid has, he'd be lucky to get a job that has $10 an hour that he could actually put in his pocket at the end of the day. Which means if you work a 40-hour work week and you're lucky to get $10 an hour actually in your pocket by the time you're done with it after taxes and all your other things you got to subtract from it, he's really going to give up 1 week of his life every month just to have that truck. I'm like, you know what? I'd have him work for a month, pick up a $400 vehicle, and if that really didn't work out for him, continue to work until he could afford something better. Again, just the way that I look at things, a little bit different, but to me, I'm not going to convince my son to give up 1 week of his life every single month just to have some sort of truck. To me, there's a lack of wisdom there. I'm not going to call it foolish, I'm not going to call it stupid, I'm just going to say there's a lack of wisdom there to pass down that mentality to the next generation. I was just kicking around some numbers here, and again, I think things can be done better. I think you can get probably less than a 3% mortgage rate on a 15-year mortgage right now. But let's say you took out a $200,000 mortgage and you had a 5% interest rate. Over the course of that mortgage for your $2,000 home on a 30-year mortgage, 5% interest rate, $200,000, you'd pay $386,000, $511, and then 57 cents. So your interest on that would be almost twice, the amount that you were trying to get. A $200,000 loan, you'd pay almost $200,000 in interest over the course of that. Obviously, you can do better on interest rate, but think about that once. If you're paying $186,000 just in interest, how many years would it take you to have that type of money? I mean, after all the bills are paid, after all the people are fed, insurance is paid, everything else that's going on. I don't know. You'd be lucky, a lot of people these days, to have the type of job where you could successfully pocket $50,000, I think. Just looking across middle class America, kind of, if you wind up with an increase of $50,000 that you can put in your pocket at the end of the year, then the interest on that mortgage loan would only subtract 4 years of your life. Only. Cost you pretty much 4 years of your life that you'd have to be working to pay for that. So again, this is why I don't teach in the school. This is why these ideas will never make it mainstream. But think about that. If you would just take the amount that you would pay in interest, convert it into what you could actually make in a reasonable amount of time, in hand at the end of the day, and then subtract that many days, months, weeks, years of your life off of your life expectancy. That's the thing is, okay, so we'll give you a $200,000 loan right now, right? And you can get that house you want right now. And you'll pay us back the $200,000, over the course of the next 30 years. But how about if you take, 4 or 5 years off your life while you do it? Because that's essentially what you're doing. Unfortunately, weekends are short if you get them. A lot of times the work week is hard. A lot of times people don't have a lot of time, energy, that type of stuff at the end of the workday to even have with their family, even have with things. Everyone's plugged into this system that pretty much just robs you of everything you got, and at the end of it, hopefully you wind up addicted to a lot of prescription drugs you can pay to play for the rest of your life too. I don't know. Again, just a random ramble from me, but think about that. Think about passing that mentality on to your children. Oh yeah, it's a nice truck. Yeah, you can afford the payments, and it'll cost you 1 week of your life. You won't even be driving it for the amount of time you're working. Most of the times, Yeah, I mean, if you're spending 40 hours in a week just to pay for it, are you gonna be driving it for 40 hours in that week? Hopefully that's not your commute, But I'm saying you're gonna spend more time just paying to have the thing than you're gonna actually spend enjoying it. So be careful out there with debt, guys. Be careful out there with interest. Be careful what you sign up for. Be careful. All right, pop out.